really interesting. And then, Kev, 1999, you get a move up to the northeast when you joined the Black Cats Sunderland for £2.5 million. And it couldn't have started better for you. You came off the bench. You assisted the winner for Phillips, I think it was, Kevin Phillips, and you got the win on your debut. But then, against Southampton, but then things started to go bad for the team in terms of, I don't think there was another victory for a number of months. And it became known as the Curse of Kilbane, which, to be totally honest, is a load of nonsense, because how can you blame it on one player? But Kev, what was it like up there? I mean, we were involved in that club. We sponsored it when Roy and Niall Quinn were there. And I know how passionate they are about their football. It's live and breathe football. What was it like moving up there? And tell us a little bit about the tough times you had.
Yeah, you know what? It was another big move. If I looked at the stepping stones across me playing career at club level, I played in every division. Started in the lowest league, Division 3 as it was in those days. We won the league in the first season with Preston. Stepped up to the next division, then stepped up to Championship or Division 1 as it was then. So everything was little stepping stones. I wanted to play Premier League football. That's what I wanted to do. Certainly, you know, I mean, I've spoke to you about my international career. International football was the be all and end all to me. I didn't want anything else once I'd played international football. But you want to play at the best level, and that's where I felt where I was going. I was still only young. I was 22. I played a lot of games. You know, I see so much now said about different players, and you know, they get to 21, 22, they've probably played 20, 30 games in a career, or maybe 20, 30 starts. I played about 150, 200 games, and I was still only 20, 22 before I'd gone there. So I got a lot of experience under my belt. I've been playing international football, both under 21 and senior international. I felt as though absolutely not a bother. I was ready. And I was ready, in fairness. I think maybe mentally, I maybe wasn't prepared for the intensity of that place. You said you had a close relationship. BoyleSports had a close relationship with Sunderland for a long time. And it's an incredible club, but I wasn't ready for the intensity of the whole place. Going out to supermarkets, I just felt as crazy as it seems, going out to supermarkets, restaurants, shopping, anything you were doing, it was just mad. Everyone was on you. And I felt as though that it was too much. You know, living in Birmingham, where you do get a bit of anonymity, you can keep your head down. No one's really gonna bother you unless you're actually around football, your football club itself. You can get away from it. And Sunderland and across the northeast, you cannot get away from it. And it was just crazy. It was a crazy place. But as you're saying before, I mean, I signed for Sunderland. We were, I think, second or third in the Premier League at the time. Christmas time, everything was going so brilliantly. We won the first game that I played in. I came off the bench and won, and everything was great. And it did change after Christmas. And I honestly think that was probably our squad size. We probably didn't have a big enough squad to cope with maybe the demands of the Premier League, and certainly a lot of the other teams that were around us. If you look at the bigger clubs outside the top 4 or top 6 at that time, they probably had more resources and they had probably better players. So we ended up finishing 7th, and it was still a great season for us. But it just did go downhill after Christmas that season. It certainly did, yeah.
And then, Kev, when you moved into your next season, still at Sunderland, you weren't quite happy with the Sunderland fans on a pre-season trip. I think it was over in France. And I think you showed a bit of your emotion, which is fair, because, you know, listen, it's not easy taking stick week in, week out. And it feels as if one man is at fault for the whole team. But I think that was the end, wasn't it? When you went on that kind of trip, and whatever had happened, you were maybe looking to get out.
I was looking. That was actually just after the World Cup, because I'd been at the club a couple of years then, and it was there was. I felt as though that, you know, I had a few little. A few times where I got really going. I felt as though I was flying. There's a couple of injuries kicked in, and it was. If you look back and you think, you know, would you have done things differently? I absolutely would have done things differently. Would I have changed moving to Sunderland? Probably not. I could have. I mean, realistically, Leon, I could have gone to Liverpool. I could have gone to Leeds. I could have gone to several other clubs at that time. But I chose Sunderland because Peter Reid give me guarantees. You're going to come straight into the side. You're going to play every week. That was why I chose to go to Sunderland. Gerard Houllier, who was Liverpool manager at the time, said to me, "Look, you'll be in the squad. You'll be playing with the reserves. You won't necessarily be starting every week." And that was one of the reasons why I thought, no, I'm an international footballer. I want to play every week. And Leeds was probably a little bit different as well, and there was no guarantees to me anyway. And Leeds were a top 4 club at the time, so there was options. I chose Sunderland for the right reasons because of the club that it was, and of course Peter Reid, because of how persuasive he was in getting me up to the club, and that was why I chose to go there. And it just, as I was saying before, it just didn't work out. I think I was a young lad who was maybe still finding his feet in various ways, and it just didn't work out for me. And I look back and I think my last season at Sunderland, I'll come back to your incident there, sorry Leon, in a sec, but my last season at Sunderland was my best season. I felt as though that I was consistent across the season. I felt as though I played really well, and we got relegated. So ultimately, you don't get any credit for that. I moved on to Everton after that. But that was I actually played better after that incident you talk about. It was a pre-season friendly away in France just after the World Cup. I felt as though as the World Cup went on, I got better and better in the games that I played in against some of the better sides. I felt as though I was ready to go back to Sunderland and go, right, we're going to have a goal this season. And we were away pre-season and absolutely nothing had happened. And a section of supporters turned up and started to abuse me from the terraces. And I just turned around and just give it, on you go, lads. And it was almost a riot on the pitch. Honestly, they were trying to get onto the pitch to get to me, but there was caging in the stand, so they couldn't get over the cages to the stand. If it was normal terracing, I'd have been lynched.
They would have been on. You would have been on your bike. You would have needed all your pace. You would have needed all your pace to get out of there.
Yeah, I tell you, it'd have been a full-on run. I tell you, they wouldn't have caught me, no chance.
Well, listen, come here. Listen, that happens. Players have a little bit of a reaction. And listen, I honestly feel players are entitled to react.
I would say, though, after that, there wasn't a bother. As I said, my last season at Sunderland was my best season. And people think, you asked that question there. Most people, when they ask that question, think that I left immediately. I wanted to leave. I wanted to go. I wanted to leave the club. Nothing was going to happen. Peter Reid was under serious pressure himself then as well, actually. I had a full season after that, and I left that following season to go to Everton. So I actually had another season and a little bit before I moved on. So there was a lot that went on after that. But a lot of Sunderland supporters actually just went, fair play. He does actually care about what's happening here. And I got after that, honestly, it was actually sound. There was no problems, and I actually enjoyed my last season there.